Hi everyone, welcome to my presentation. First of all, let me thank you for all of you who come here today. Have you tried to make a New Year wish on Keep Fit? At first, you planned to go to the gym and eat healthy, but at last 1 year later, you gained more weight and didn't exercise much. Or have you tried to tell yourself to do and hand in your homework early? However, at last you fail and start to work on it the night before the deadline, and you cannot wake up in the morning to attend the morning class. You must be very anxious and you may also feel doubt about yourself while you cannot control yourself. I recently read a book called Willpower, Rediscovering the Greatest Human Strength, which may help us become a more self-disciplined student or people. A very famous psychology experiment called the Radish Experiment in 1996. There were 67 college students who do this experiment. They were already hungry because they've been fasting, and now they are in a room suffused with the smell of chocolate chip cookie that was just baked from the lab. And the researcher led the first group not to eat the cookie, but they could eat the radish. After 15 minutes, they were led off to a room to do a geometry equation that was impossible to solve. The second group that came into the room with cookies and radish and allowed them to eat the cookies and the radish. After 15 minutes, they were led off to a different room to solve the same impossible equation. The third and the last group entered a room without smelling and eating cookies or radish. After 15 minutes, they were like the first and the second group of people who were led off to the different room to solve the same impossible equation. The third group that didn't have the cookies or the radish proceeded for 21 minutes. The group that could eat cookies and radish proceeded for 19 minutes. And those who resisted eating the fresh baked chocolate cookies only last for 8 minutes. The ability to persevere has been depicted earlier, denying those chocolate chip cookies. This was the first experiment that changed the notion that willpower was something you just conjured up when needed or built up like a muscle. Willpower is a dependable resource. For example, as an international student, if I ask you to do the housework after you finish a long day of uni, you may think my request was very hard. It is because you are not just struggling with the action to do the housework, but also need to cope with the temptation like do not want to cook, but to hang out with friends or have dinner with them or watch TV or play video games. A spiritual leader in Africa, Mahatma Gandhi, described willpower by nothing that strength does not come from physical capacity, it comes from an indomitable will. A very famous American author, Dan Millman, described willpower by loving that willpower is the key to success. Successful people strive no matter their feelings by applying their will to overcome empathy, doubt, or fear. According to American Psychological Association, many psychology researchers define willpower as the ability to deny fulfillment and resist short-term temptation to meet long-term goals, the capacity to override an unwanted thought, feelings, or impulse, the caution effort rule of the self by the self, limited resource capable by being depleted. There were neurological components to decision making that most people are unaware of, because the dopamine and serotonin level, for example, it is much better to make decisions in the morning. And dopamine is the main brain's chemical responsible for making us feel motivated. Now we know what willpower is, and this is a depletable resource. Then, how can we be more focused on getting things done? First, we must know what will be taken away from our self control ability. When we know what it is, we must stay away from it. Second, the 2 minutes rule. The strategy behind the 2 minutes rule is simple. When you start a new habit, choose something you can do in less than 2 minutes. This does not mean that you cannot make big goals, but rather that you should break these significant goals into smaller, more manageable steps. You will find that almost every habit can be scaled down into a 2 minutes version. Like, read one chapter before bed becomes read one page. Complete an entire workout becomes complete one set of exercise. Or fold all the laundry becomes fold one pair of shorts. Breaking down significant goals into smaller pieces makes it much simpler to make smaller increments in time without feeling overwhelmed. Since you will accomplish a plan quickly, it is excellent motivation to link these increments together and keep going. You may ask why we need to step out of our comfort zone. I believe all of us here would like a more successful life. Although the first time may not be easy, but the more we try, the more successful and happier we will be. This is the end of my presentation. Thank you.